Welcome to More Action, the podcast for entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. I'm your host, Shelly Bryan, and together we have candid conversations with industry leaders to uncover valuable wisdom and lessons learned. My hope is you use these lessons to intentionally take more action in business and life. I hope you share and enjoy. If you've been tuning into the show for a little bit, you know that I love to be able to show the parallels between business and real life. I know that oftentimes we like to think of so many things in silos, and the reality is that they're not. There are so many similarities from things that happen in our lives that we can apply to our business, our careers, relationships, and so on. So today's episode is nothing different, but this just happened. And I've been thinking more and more about it, this experience that my daughter Reese just went through, and I have to share it. And I'm actually going to tie in an episode from another very well-known podcast and some very well-known people, some science in it. So you're going to want to stay around till the end. But I always love connecting with people on social media, especially people that are similar, like-minded, high achievers like us. And so make sure that we are connected over on Instagram, as well as I share lots of fun, good, business and personal stuff over on LinkedIn too. So would love to see you there. And then don't forget, you can watch the show actually on YouTube. So those are my three platforms. I hope to connect with you there. But this one you would have seen live as it was going down on my Instagram stories. And so my daughter and I compete with horses. We compete in a sport called reining. It's a Western event. You do about 8 maneuvers. It's based upon degree of difficulty. It has nothing to do with time. It's all finesse and degree of difficulty. If you've ever seen Yellowstone, I know those guys, I show with those guys, and they have kind of made our sport a little bit more mainstream. But my daughter, Reese, she is now 12 years old. You know, we share a birthday in March, and she started this year. And again, don't worry, this isn't going to be like the proud mom telling the stories. I will tie this into business. You know, I always do that because it's one of my favorite topics to talk about. Business and mindset. And so Reese came off the start of a very good year as far as competitive wise. In March, she was doing really well. She won 2 circuit championships. She's 12 years old. She is riding my old show horse, which is a really great horse. Again, you would see how much we love her on Instagram if we're connected there. Her name is Kat. But what was interesting is at this horse show, Kat is now 15 years old, which is rather old in our sport that we compete in. And every once in a while, right, these are animals, they have a mind of their own, and sometimes they can be naughty. Things can get them. They can have a bad day just like us. And it was interesting because at our show this weekend, at Reese's show this weekend, I didn't compete. She went in for the first time. And when I say went in, she went into like a Coliseum setting. It wasn't an outdoor one on her first competition, but she went in. And, you know, if you've ever competed in a sport, you have like when you first step on the field, or when you're first going in, or maybe it's even like a prospect meeting or a really, you know, important client that you're just hoping to close for additional business because you love working with them. And those nerves kind of stick with you a little bit in the beginning. And I could tell that morning, this was Saturday morning, that Reese was a little bit more nervous. I think because once you've performed at a high level, there's an expectation, not only that you place on yourself, but also others maybe looking to you, that you should just do well every single time. And so she walked into this arena. I could tell that there was some anxiety, there was some nerves, and she gets in to start her work. She competes, it's only one horse in the arena at a time. And she starts, and right at the start, Kat decides to, you know, what happened. There was a few things, the nerves, and then there was a flash from the photographer and a pop from the lights. They set out these lights around the arena, and it spooked Kat. And so what spooked means is that it just kind of scared her. It's like a jump, like you're like, whoa, And so she kind of hopped off and then started going. And then when you have Reese's, you have nerves as a competitor. It's just kind of like this like domino effect of like, oh my gosh, what, like, can anything go right at this point? And it was so interesting just watching her navigate this challenging situation, right? This horse is very tried and true. She is, I call her our unicorn. Will be with us for her entire life. She is so special and near and dear to our heart. But everyone has a bad day, and Kat had a bad day. And watching Reese navigate that, because it's not often that she gets that opportunity to do so, literally blew my mind because she navigated the rest of her pattern. It's typically about a 4-minute pattern. First took about 5 because she was working through some stuff, but she literally went through it with such poise, such composure, and literally got so much done from like a competitor standpoint that she could apply to the next time that she goes in. And I was sitting at the sideline, at the gate, literally saying every word to myself, being mad at the horse, mad at just like what is going on from a mother's perspective. That was literally the hardest thing for me because I was watching Reese struggle and I couldn't save her. I couldn't go in. I couldn't fix the situation. There's times that like I've had to hop on Kat and fix her. And I'm like, she's got this, but holy cow, oh my gosh. And I'm standing next to her trainer. I'm sure I said some choice words. We'd have to hear from Ashley on what I said. But it was just one of those things I was like, holy cow. I was so impressed with how she was able to navigate that all at the same time. I was terrified, right? Not being able to help my daughter or go in there and fix the situation. I remember this same feeling when we had the restaurant, that when we opened up, we did all the training, we did all the stuff. And then it's like we open up into the world and I'm like, what are we going to have? What is going to happen? And navigating those struggles is actually what made our team at Donut Bar so successful. The business wasn't successful, but our team was. And if you turn into other episodes, why there was franchisor fraud, all this good stuff. But our team was highly successful, but I had to let them struggle as a leader. Now in our construction company, I can see a lot of this happening again and again. Not that we're struggling, but it's like new territory, new things. We're struggling, we're learning, we're growing. And it got me thinking about it because how often do we allow ourselves or those around us that we lead, right? Whether it's someone in your team in an organization, whether it's your employees as a business owner, or whether it's you as a parent, how often do we let those around us struggle so that they have the opportunity to rise again? That is something that I don't think we let happen too often. I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed in the sense that I had horses in my life. And that is one thing that I can tell you that strengthened my willpower. It strengthened my resistance because you are dealing with 1,000-pound animal. And trust me, they have a mind of their own. And it's not a aggressive, like you do what I say when I say. It is definitely a teamwork effort. And so just like working with an actual physical human team in your business, can't make them do things. Sure, we can like incentivize them different ways. We can have reviews that kind of drive behavior, all of these different things. But ultimately, the way that someone grows is through that struggle. And it was so great watching Reese struggle. I say that because it was so hard, yet it was so great because I was like, oh my gosh, this is what is going to make her a great rider. This is what is going to make her unbeatable. It's not, like some of the other kids that she competes against have 6-figure horses. That is not Reese. She is going to have to learn through it this way, and that will make her a better competitor and it will make her a better rider. And it reminded me of this episode. This is where the science part is going to come in, guys. And I'm also going to tag both of these things that I'm about to reference. I'm going to tag these in the notes because I think it is important to listen to them and read. But this was actually with Andrew Huberman, Dr. Andrew Huberman on the Huberman Lab. I think it's the number one podcast of like all time. And he had David Goggins on. And if you are unfamiliar with David Goggins, he has an incredible story. I read his first book. I'm honestly contemplating. I know I have his second book. I don't know if I have read it yet, but I think I did. Regardless, his first book, Can't Hurt Me, is extremely powerful. And if you've ever like followed David Goggins or seen him talk or been around him, I got to warn you from the top, he is very vulgar, very raw, and he does not give an F about what anyone thinks. So just be warned when you listen to him. But on this podcast, he doesn't do podcasts anymore. He, has an incredible story of resilience. And now, he was a Navy SEAL, but he failed, I think, 2 times through it and then got it the third time. And it was like failed because of injury, not because he couldn't, like he quit. And then he went on to be an Army Ranger, and then he went on to do ultra marathons. And he has literally broken like world record after world record and continues to do so even at a later stage in life. And on this, they talked about something, and I love this because Dr. Huberman brought in like the science behind it, and David, very raw, shared the real world of it. And what they were talking about was willpower. And there is a specific part in the brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. I am not neuroscience, so I feel very proud that I was able to get that out, but I do have a medical background working with a lot of doctors. And this is what is very interesting to me, because sometimes when we're trying to train new behaviors, we need science or proof to back it up. If we don't have the proof in ourselves, we need to look to see elsewhere on credible sources. And what Dr. Huberman was sharing is that recently, this section of the brain has become like more of a focus due to its correlation with willpower, with fortitude, with self-discipline. And if you've been learning at all about the brain or following anything with Dr. Huberman or other people, our brain is absolutely, not only our mindset, but our brain is incredible that no matter what age, you are able to grow, you are able to change it. And so I'm going to quote this. And again, I'm going to leave this article link in the show notes. But he goes on to explain. So Huberman explains that this part of the brain, okay, that anterior mid-cingulate cortex explains that this part of the brain enlarges when individuals engage in tasks they inherently do not want to do. It could be extra hours of workout for those reluctant to exercise, or resisting temptation when one is committed to losing weight. What makes the discovery thrilling is that it shatters a common myth. It isn't the additional effort per se that matters, but it's the willingness to persevere through tasks that are personally challenging or unpleasant. Holy freaking cow. So when you think about this, I was watching my daughter go through this really challenging thing, struggle. I thought about when I was leading a team at the restaurant, as we are leading the team as a construction, as a parent right now, bringing up, like my greatest ministry is my 2 kids that I'm bringing up right now. And I think about it, like how often am I shielding them from struggling when in fact it is the exact opposite, which would be the best thing for them. This is also goes true for me. It's so funny because I can guarantee you, the horses have taught me this. Failing in business, going through, like coming back from a failure in business is not fun. Going for a contest at when I was in corporate America, trying to win an extra bonus or something, and you come out, they pay the top 8 and you come out 9th, that's not fun. And you have to come back, let it go, and move on to the next year. And going through these tasks that, to quote it, are personally challenging or unpleasant is the exact thing that what they're finding now is going to strengthen our willpower. It is going to strengthen our fortitude and our self-discipline. And so It was really interesting because David Goggins, he has shared openly, he has dyslexia, he has a hard time learning. I believe on the podcast shares that he is becoming a paramedic now. Like he just continually takes the hard way. And you know me, I don't love labeling hard over easy. I love just saying this is, and so we are going to move forward. And so I think that you can look at it both ways because it's still not a shortcut. And that's what David says again and again and again. He has been able to do things that I don't know that there will be many humans, if ever, are able to do what that man has done. But I truly think now, and the science is proving it, is because he continues to do things that are challenging. He continues to do things that he does not want to do. As he is studying with dyslexia to become a paramedic now, he studies for 4 hours straight and he has to repeat things and he has to go do it. Do you think anybody would want to do that? Hell no. But he has strengthened that ability to be able to do it. And so when I look at that and I remembered this and I'm like, holy cow, I just gave Reese an opportunity to grow that portion of her brain. That is going to help her later in her life. You know, when I look at different things, when I did the fitness competitions, do you think I wanted to work out twice a day for multiple hours? Absolutely not. Eat a very restricted diet? Absolutely not. But it was those things that kept pushing me forward. Having a failure riding my horse as a child absolutely let me pick myself back up again and move on. And so I think when I look at this, I can even look back to different parts in, my brother, he was coddled, he was protected. He never learned how to pick himself back up. And I think that starts as a child, but I also think that we can still strengthen that as adults. The science is proving it, but are we, and this is my question for you, are we choosing the struggle over comfort? And I think that there are so many things in our lives right now when it comes to social media, when it comes to just the internet, jobs, taking the easy route, like comfort is easy. And so if you find yourself in a comfortable place, making comfortable money, living a comfortable life, know that you are not giving yourself an opportunity to grow that anterior mid-cingulate cortex. That is something that you and I are no different from each other. It is truly just the action that is separating you from me, from the person next to you, from David Goggins, from Dr. Huberman. It is truly just the action and the choice. And so I guess this episode is turning out to be a little bit more like hard truth, motivation, whatever you want to call it. What it was for me, and I hope that you take this from it, is that it's an opportunity for me to self-reflect on different areas in my life and also in those that I lead, both in business and our family, and actually give them opportunities and myself to struggle. That struggle is where you learn. That struggle is uncomfortable. That struggle is going to make you stronger. Now, of course, I'm going to leave you with a few things to think about and help set you up for success based upon what just happened with Reese and then also my daughter, and then what also I have felt in the past and gone through in the past. And so when you are choosing the struggle, and I encourage you to choose the struggle, is that you set proper expectations for going into something new. So what I mean by that, remember how I said the word hard or easy, is that struggle. It's going to be a struggle. If you think you're going to try to learn something new, like for me, increasing my financial knowledge this year to be able to manage our business at a new level is a struggle for me. I knew it was going to be a struggle. I didn't walk into this being like, oh yeah, this is going to be so easy. I've learned all these other skills. I can just do it. I knew it was going to be a struggle, but I'm persevering through the challenges and the hard things that are making it challenging for me. Going for Reese, going from her first ride on Saturday to her second ride on Sunday, I set proper expectations to her. And part of that was telling her to let go. Let go of what happened yesterday. You have a new day. You have to trust your horse. You can also say you have to trust you that you can do this. Go try. Not like go, it's going to be easy. Go try. take the action. Now, regardless of what happens as you try it. So the first one was setting proper expectations for when you are going to be doing something new. Okay. It is going to be uncomfortable and it is going to be a struggle. Doesn't make it bad or good. It's just what is your choice. Are you going to do it or not? The second thing is after you maybe struggle or fail, is reframe it. Take what you learned and apply it going forward. I've been talking about this a lot, about failing and failing silently versus failing, kind of out in front, all cards up. And when I reframe it, the failure is like the best experience I could have ever gotten. So you're going to see a lot of that content coming out, that if you're in this weird stage or you're scared to take the next step, make sure that we're connected on Instagram, because I'm going to show you how to reframe it. And so when you fail, when you fall, when it doesn't go as you planned and you're uncomfortable and struggling, make sure that you reframe it. You're not necessarily failing, you're gaining new experience. And the last one, and I saw this tried and true this weekend with Reese, and I can't tell you, as we are reaching new milestones with our construction company, this cannot be more relevant, is to make sure that you surround yourself with people who will not only help redirect you, but also be straight and honest with you. If we want to take more action and do more things in our lives, having people pat us on the back when we don't live up to our abilities is not going to help us. We need those people that are going to be like, hey, knock it off. Let's move this way. Here's what you can take from it. What do you think? Let's move forward. What's your game plan? And having those people, Reese not only had her trainer, she had me. I've lived through what she went through. So having me being able to like reframe it and guide her into the next day where she won the class, it was like she went from literally last on Saturday, winning the class on Sunday. She had to reframe it. I was able to support her. Her trainer was able to support her. Other adults and kids in our community that we ride with literally helped guide her and support her through it. So make sure that as you're doing this, you got to depend on you, but you can also have those that are around you that are going to be straight and help redirect you. Now, as I close this out, is I want you to remember, as you are going through this struggle, right? And whether I just told you I was going through, learning, understanding financials from a business perspective at a whole new level. That is what, not just like your P&L. I want to go deep. And so I am really trying to learn there from books, from others, just practical knowledge and practical experience of failing and then figuring it out, is that remember, whatever behavior or whatever thing you are doing, it doesn't have to be directly correlated. So what I mean by that is that I guarantee you, as Reese, enters in high school, she's going to have times where she's struggling. She's going to have times where it's hard and she's going to have to choose to do the hard thing, right? Maybe not go along with peer pressure or separate from some friends, but she can lean on the experience that she gained through the horses that will help her be able to navigate when she has to go through those challenges things. So right now, as I am learning financials at an entirely new level and new frame of mind, I'm going back to not only my horses, but I'm also going back to the gym. How I was terrified going in there, how I was so uncomfortable, but now the gym is actually a really comfortable place. I know the transition that can happen. And so whatever it is that you are wanting to learn and grow in, is know that that struggle is where the growth is. Choose the challenge, choose to be uncomfortable, and you will continue to not only strengthen that part in your brain, which ultimately strengthens your willpower, your fortitude, and your self-discipline. So if this hit home with you, I'd love to hear from you on like a DM, shoot me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, or when this posts on YouTube, maybe comment down below and let me know like what you took from it. Or if you have a fun story, I'd love to hear it, because I think us sharing through the struggles and the hard part, and you'll hear it if you listen to that podcast with David on the Huberman Lab podcast. It's pretty aggressive and he has some passion. So I hope you can feel my passion too. And I hope that you keep sticking around here on More Action.